Alrighty, welcome everyone to the first session of the Nightingale. As most of you know, we are a brand new ship from Starfleet Medical. However, that being said, I guess there's no recap, so let's just get straight into it. Um, I believe Lieutenant Commander Desesh. Um, I'm gonna say that. What I guess what's your current posting? I suppose.
Uh, I was posted to a relief ship that was involved in the Cardassian rebuilding. I think I picked a ship, but I don't have that in front of me at the moment.
Well, that's
So you can
fair.
just name one; it's fine. It can be whatever ship.
The USS Horseshoe.
Okay.
um, one of the one of the notable, but not gaudy or auspicious ships that have been aiding in the um, rebirthing efforts. But um, that being said, a week or so you were recalled to Earth and have been awaiting a new assignment. Starfleet, not being from the planet, Starfleet has generously and graciously put you up in the 24th century equivalent of a hotel. Um,
Am I on
and
Starbase One?
no, you are actually on Earth.
Oh, okay. All right.
San Francisco.
San Francisco, the heart of the Federation.
Okay. All right. My university town.
That indeed, and
Hmm.
I'd say it's about at least for Earth time. It's I'd say about 23:30, 11:30 at night when all of the sudden you happen to in your nice little swanky hotel room you happen to get a communique.
So just like the beep, Lieutenant Commander Desesh,
Actually, as you kind of instinctively perhaps
kind of
jump
roll over,
from.
hit the communicator on the side table, com badge.
Yes, sir. And let me actually flip because I realized I forgot to do that. Um, as you pop the button, the visage of what appears to be a human in a Starfleet uniform, handsome face, quite pleasant, pops up on the screen as he says, "Ah, Lieutenant Commander Desesh, I believe, is it? Is that correct?"
Speaking.
Hello, my name is Arif, and I just wanted to congratulate you, and well, hopefully hit you up for a new favor.
Zarif. Is this someone I know?
It is not. You've actually never seen him before.
Okay, and he didn't give a rank, so this is he's not wearing a uniform?
He is the sorry, I should have said he is wearing a Starfleet uniform, clad in red, and the three pips on his collar denote him as a commander.
Oh. Commander Zarif? I'm, I'm sort of getting up at this point, and, uh, kind of, I was probably sleeping. Uh, and uh, I'm. What can I do for you, Commander?
Um, noticing your state of just waking up, and he looks very taken aback and almost embarrassed as he says, "Oh my God, Lieutenant Commander, I'm so sorry. I didn't take into account planet time. It's the morning over here, and well, I was
I'm not sure I
excited.
entirely knew that. I just got off of a ship, so but this is what we get used to in Starfleet. I'm focusing in. What can I do for you, Commander?
Um, well, I guess I suppose you haven't heard news of your new posting either. He says,
I
kind of.
I have a new posting. I was actually expecting that to take longer.
Um, as he kind of, you see his eyes shift from left to right, just in a moment of uncomfortability. He says, uh, yes, I apologize for ruining the surprise. I would have figured Starfleet would have been more aware of your own plans, given how much they seem to care about time lately. But the fact of the matter is, as it turns out, you've been posted as the first officer aboard one of Starfleet Medical's newest ships.
Starfleet Medical.
Yes, sir, he says.
Well, that's interesting. Uh, well, I suppose I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, what ship?
From what I hear, it's called the Nightingale.
The
I'm
Nightingale.
not Yeah, I'm not too sure what kind of ship Starfleet's sending us, but oh, I should probably tell you I'm the commander of Deep Space 17, the station that the ship will be assigned to, or assigned to operate out of.
Right? Uh, what area of space is that?
We're galactic south, a good ways past the Federation border. Actually,
Hmm.
we used to be comfortably inside, but and you see a ghost of a smile creep across his head or his face as he says, "But well, an incident chose a new location for us."
All right, I haven't read up about that, but I probably have some time to get there, so I should be able to find out when am I leaving.
Uh, that I'm not sure, Lieutenant Commander. To be honest, um, I hope it's not at least until tomorrow. But given that you didn't know about it, I can only assume. However, I'll be honest with you. The reason I called wasn't merely congratulatory.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine this is a little bit roundabout. I haven't even made arrangements for travel, so I assume that's probably forthcoming. But what can I do for you?
Um, looking, flashing you a small smile, he says, "Well, you see, and this may sound rather silly to two Starfleet officers, but a few months ago I had ordered something from Earth, and well, it was for my office, and it took an unreasonable amount of time to get here. I was hoping if I could place an order, you would be so kind as to ferry it over here for me. Now, normally, of course, this is a question I'd ask of your captain. However, and
Oh,
uh, yep, go ahead.
sorry, my captain. Uh, that hasn't come up yet. Who is the captain of the Nightingale?
You see kind of a shadow cross his face as he says, her name is Morgana, Captain Morgana. And well, quite frankly, the reason that I'm asking you for this favor, quite frankly, is well, I I I looked over your record, and quite frankly, it's very impressive. And you seem like a very stand up individual. And, well, I have a feeling that our mutual working relationship will be a much more bright tone than that of I and your captain.
Probably visibly see that my expression is clouding over a little bit when he gives the impression that he's asking this favor on the basis of my reputation. And Commander, uh, since you have read up on me, you do understand that I'm not going to carry anything onto a Federation starship without it being checked. I
Of
mean, like,
course.
all right. I just, when you said reputation, I know can be something of a controversial figure, but I wanted to make sure that that was clear. I can certainly, I can certainly do you a favor, but it's just going to be on the up and up.
Of course it is. And let me tell you something. I've been at this for, and he gives another little smile, quite some time. And while you might say controversial, well, I'll just chalk it up to interesting. And the cargo that I need is quite simple. It's simply a number of logs of oak lumber.
Oak lumber. All right. Well, I'll have to make sure that I don't know if that's going to fit on my carry-on, but I'll see what I can do.
Oh, nope, it's all paid for and ready and everything. I'd just like you to oversee and make sure you grab it before you leave. Once you get to the ship.
I'll
Uh,
certainly check on it, make sure that it gets loaded with the rest of my furniture and cargo.
well, thank you very much, and I'll forward you the information, and I'll um, I'll let you get back to sleep because I know tomorrow's gonna be a pretty big day.
Well, I'll do my best to get back to sleep, but apparently I've got a phone call coming at some point, so I'm probably going to start reading up on the Nightingale. Uh, but thank you very much, Commander. It was a pleasure meeting you.
And
I
you
guess
as
I'll be
well.
seeing you soon.
Here's hoping, and he gives you a little salute, and with that, the view screen winks off, and as it does, a couple moments later, a couple beeps emanate from the console once again, and well, it's your orders to report to Starfleet Medical Headquarters tomorrow
Hmm.
morning at 0600 for, sorry, 0700 for an assignment or
Hmm.
an assignment transfer.
All right, and I assume all the uh, travel information is all there and everything. What ship I'm traveling on, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's, I
Like the
mean, you're,
Nightingale isn't here, is it?
yeah, it's in space dock. We're
Oh
just,
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Like
as far as I
fresh off
know,
the line, like Utopia Planatia in space dock at Earth.
I'm not
Like how
sure.
new is the ship?
That is for you to find out tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. I guess so.
Yeah.
I do quickly scroll up to just see who's giving me the orders because, like, there are people that don't like me, and I kind of want to know how suspicious of this posting I should be.
It looked like you were as you know what? You know what? I'd say this is a good time. This is a good time for our game's first roll as you kind of try to ferret out some information about who
All
might
right.
possibly have
So
done this.
maybe insight security, maybe.
I'll take insight security, or I'll take insight engineering, just cause. Let's
Okay.
go with. I'll tell you what. For momentum, I'm gonna put it at difficulty one. Uh, but if you get above a difficulty
Okay.
three, I'll give you I'll give you a little bit extra information.
All right. Would my focus of Starfleet protocol apply?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Gain you guys one momentum. Usually I have a nifty little macro for the momentum, but I just realized I forgot to implement it. So today I'll be keeping track like that.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, today's a little bit of an easier day on the rolls, but
Mm-hmm.
as you gain one momentum for the team and you look into these orders, you can see that you were requested personally by Admiral Matthew Santos. However, you um, also see or manage to find just along your trail your own ability to research proving well is you find that you were actually not the original candidate,
Mm.
uh, but after Santos apparently received a message, you were definitely in the running, but uh, Admiral Santos was going with someone else, got a communication, and then went with you.
Is Admiral Santos associated with any within any particular area of Starfleet?
Medical, medical.
Okay. All right. And I've never met him, right?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to like finish my thing and then get as much sleep as I can before the morning. Because it turns out I'm moving out.
Well, we'll we'll zip on over to that morning where the sun is both crisp and bright as you manage to get up and get dressed without anything untoward happening, and
Mhm.
as you head to one of the public transporters that deposits you in front of Starfleet Medical, you can see that the outside of the building is pretty barren. It is
Mhm.
rather early uh, time of the day, but
Mhm. One of the things that is notable here is that I don't tend to walk around with like much in the way of actual stuff. Like even though potentially moving to a long term assignment, basically all I have is a hip pack that I'm carrying around because everything has been digitized and so that I can like recreate it with a replicator. I'm not terribly sentimental.
excellent. That's that. Well, you know what? That, quite frankly, as much as I hate to say it, serves Starfleet officers quite well.
So I arrive at the at Starfleet Medical. Now I've probably never been here before, right? Like this is not my area of expertise. I've
You,
mostly worked with the Starfleet Corps of Engineers up until this point.
anytime you were on Earth and had a physical, it was at Starfleet Medical.
Okay, so I've only
It's
had the
like the
patient
VA.
experience. Okay.
Yeah, it's the VA,
All right.
but better.
hmm Whatever the
Depends
utopian
on your
version of the
feelings of
VA
the
is.
Admiralty.
All right.
Fair.
Um, but as you kind of enter, you can see that the inside is a little bit more lively than the outside, as as there seems to be a number of people congregating around in certain areas, and you can see that there's a basically an information and help desk where they're signing in a couple patients.
All right. Well, I'm not a patient, so I guess I'm looking for evidence of someone of rank that might be looking for me, or if there's like a desk that I'm supposed to sign in that isn't patient intake.
Um, I'm sorry that was a me issue. I described it a little bit wrong, but you probably the intake is pretty universal.
Oh, okay. So
Like,
it's just an information desk.
yes.
Uh, all right. I'll walk up and introduce myself. I probably have my orders on a pad or something.
And as the woman takes the pad, she says, "Oh, well, thank you very much, Lieutenant Commander." Uh,
Desesh.
the,
You can call
what?
me Iraj.
Uh, okay, Mr. Araj. And
I
then,
am actually checking her rank.
well, as she notices you doing that, she's has the rank of specialist. She actually looks up and actually sees your face for the first time, as opposed to just the pad, and instantly you can see the confusion in her eyes kind of clear up as she sees your nose and the ridges on it, and she says, "Ah, Lieutenant, of course, Lieutenant Commander Duresh. I apologize. Yes, it
Desesh,
appears
yes.
Disesh. I apologize. It appears that you have a an appointment with Admiral Santos. If but it appears that there is two for the appointment. So if you just please take a seat, we'll get to you as soon as possible."
No problem. Was the package that Zarif mentioned, was it supposed to be here, or do I have to go get that?
Oh no. So it's basically it's waiting at a on a
Like a dock somewhere?
pretty much.
Okay. All right. I just have a seat then.
And as you do, I'm actually going to uh, s- skip over to Starfleet headquarters, where Captain Morgana. I
Yes.
apologize, Commander Morgana. You, like Lieutenant Commander Desesh, have also been, well, I suppose, summoned to Starfleet headquarters.
Okie dokie. Well, uh, I mean, it's mid afternoon for her when she gets there because she's in London. So,
And it's pretty lively. I'm just fogging a couple things real quick before I flip the tab. Um, but as you beam in and kind of see the outside of the classic building with the bridge in the background, you can notice that there's quite a number of people kind of just milling about in their own little groups.
she'll she'll kind of walk around. She'll walk towards Starfleet headquarters, but she'll keep her ears out, just kind of listen.
Um, there's quite frankly not a whole lot that's interesting. As it appears mostly to be just regular either Starfleet business or just the boring daily chit chat of coworkers at lunchtime.
We both know that that is never boring to one of her.
That is certainly fair, and as you make your way to the doorway, unlike unlike Lieutenant Commander Desesh, there's actually a gentleman waiting for you. And as you approach the doorway, he starts to run over and flag you down, and he says, "Excuse me," looking at a pad real quick. You're a Miss Nira Morgana?
It's Dr. Morgana. She smiles.
Oh, I'm sorry. The gentleman nervously says, I'm supposed to escort you to the admiral."
Oh, by all means, she says.
Thank you, and if you'll just please follow me, please. And he brings you kind of um, through Starfleet headquarters, and eventually reaching one of the higher floors, where he brings you into a waiting area where there's a number of other people, and as he looks to you and he says, I'll go inform the admiral of your arrival. If you'd just like to please sit, I, I I mean, or stand, or just make yourself comfortable.
What's his rank?
Ensign.
She nods and says, "At ease, Ensign. I'm not gonna bite," she says as she sits down on the chair.
I I am at ease, he says, kind of forlornly, as he kind of shuffles off.
She raises an eyebrow, like, and her internal thought is, "This is the most uptight at ease she has ever seen."
And as you see him snake towards the back, you can see that your other occupants are a Vorta and another human, both of which seem content to simply look at the 24th century equivalent of waiting magazines,
Yeah.
the UFOP Weekly and Milky Way Today.
Oh God. Yeah. Nira probably just like pulls out a pad and is going over some previous case that she did, being like, "Okay, how could I have solved this faster?" kind of thing, killing time.
Well, and it's actually not very much time, because almost as soon as you get into your pad and start, the door swings open, and instead of the uptight ensign, the admiral himself appears, and he says, "Commander Morgana."
Yes, sir. She stands up, puts the pad in a pack she's carrying.
Um, and as you're standing up, one of the other gentlemen in the waiting room starts to stand up as well, as he says, "Admiral, I've been waiting here for 3 hours. I insist that I should go next."
Nira just looks at the man and then looks back at the admiral and say, "Oh, please, I unless there's a rush for our meeting, Admiral, I have plenty of time. I can wait," she says, pleasantly.
Uh, Giving the man a stern look, but favoring you with a small smile, he says, "No, no, please." Uh, and looking at the gentleman, he says, "I hope you'll understand, but uh, national security." And he waves you in.
As she walks by, she'll just mouth the word sorry and then walk inside, past the Admiral, as it were. If he's like, stepping aside so she can walk in, kind of thing.
Indeed, he is, and as the man sits down with a huff, he leads you into his office, which he leads you into his office, which is quite a nice one, offering a quite a lovely view of the bridge. And as he points to one of the seats opposite his side, he asks, "Thank you, Commander. Would you care for a beverage?"
Uh, no, sir. But if this was about what happened on the station, I did save that girl's life. She says, like expecting to be in trouble.
Um, Not giving anything away and completely blank faced, he just simply leans back and interlaces his fingers in front of his chest as he says, um, "Well, perhaps you could briefly tell me about that incident in your own words."
Nossigan held a poor waitress at gunpoint. Noticing that he was about to pull the trigger, I rushed him and then beat him unconscious with a bar stool and then saved the girl's life, she says.
Hmm. And he just kind of, you can see the corners of his mouth slightly tip downward in a frown as he says, "I understand. That is an interesting solution to a problem. Was there, let me ask you, this young girl, she wasn't a member of Starfleet, was she?"
She was a Federation citizen, yes.
Okay. What if she wasn't?
She was innocent, and there. Let's put it this way: I'm not in the habit of watching people disintegrate in front of me. She says, regardless of affiliation, except the Borg. She says, almost like her face just turns into like a cold death stare.
Uh, you can actually see the expression slightly matched in the admiral's eyes as as it certainly doesn't share your intensity, but does share some of the similar thought process. As he says, "Well, and um, if I'm not mistaken, there were security officers present."
Of course, she says. However, we were all off duty because it was shore leave. The Nausicaans held the bar hostage, she says.
That's quite a story, and if you will have to forgive me, it's been a couple days since I've read your report, and I've read your uh, personnel report, and I read so many. Um, wasn't there some sort of an incident? That's the incident where you broke your back, correct?
No, sir, that was during a temporal incident where the crew regressed. We hit a gravitational eddy, and to protect one of the crewmen who was at the time an infant, I I took a med bed to the back at extreme gravity, but
So,
that was handled as far as I know.
so it seemed you go out of your way to protect children.
Well, I go out of my way to protect all of the younger species. She says, no offense, Admiral.
That would be most of us.
She nods. Wouldn't it, though?
Well, good. That's a fair answer, and I think I'd like to aid your endeavor.
She raises an eyebrow.
Um, Commander Morgana, while you may not have realized this, I know your personnel file uh, back and forth. It's been less than a couple days since I've read it, and well, quite frankly, I am exceedingly impressed. And I think that you've shown a pattern of unconventional solutions. However, many, if not most of them, have worked out quite well. And for one, I believe my my people. We have a rather old expression that says God doesn't play dice with the universe. Well, I think I'm gonna play dice with my fleet. So it's my honor to hereby promote you to captain.
She smiles and says, "Thank you, Admiral."
Now, I believe you'll need a ship.
That is usually how it goes, unless you want me to take command of medical at a space dock. She smiles.
Uh, Matching your smile, he says, but that wouldn't afford you the chance to go out and protect people now, would it?
Not really, no.
Well, then, as he gets a beep from his console, he looks at it and frowns and starts to stand up. Um, and
She'll stand up as well.
as he reaches over his desk to offer you a hand, he says, "I'm sorry I couldn't meet with you further, but I believe both your ship and your handpicked first officer are waiting for you in Starfleet Medical Headquarters. I was hoping I could gather everyone here, but well, um, Admiral Santos had other ideas. He felt it was more fitting, given that the ship will be under the purview of Starfleet Medical."
Ah, fair enough. Well, don't let me keep you from your meetings, Admiral. I hear that Volta get rather testy if they wait too long.
He laughs and says, "Oh, the Vorta I can handle. The other guy, though, comes in here at least once a week. It, anyways, you don't need to hear my problems because, quite frankly, you're, and fingers crossed you don't, but as all captains experience, I'm sure you'll have your own quite soon enough. But for now, congratulations, Captain. It was well earned."
She nods. Um, she looks. She'll shake his hand and everything, and say, "Admiral, a bit, a bit of advice for one who's a little older." She says, "You're an admiral. Tell him to get bent." She smiles.
uh, as you start walking out, you hear him say, "Well, you should know better than anyone how much of a pain doctors are."
Oh, that's true, but privileges of being an admiral.
He's an admiral too, and a doctor.
That's unfortunate, she says.
Yes, it is. He agrees. And as you start to walk out, you are waylaid by one of his numerous assistants as they say, "Oh, excuse me, the admiral's cleared you for his private transporter pad. We can send you straight into the Starfleet Medical Headquarters if you'd like."
Um, she thinks about that for a moment. Um, yeah, she'll say, that would be most welcome, thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome. and as she leads you to the pad and puts you on it, the world's or Starfleet headquarters starts sparkling out of existence, only to be replaced by Starfleet Medical. And as you beam in, and Lieutenant Commander Desesh, you you would have definitely seen this woman beam into the middle of the headquarters, which is a little strange, but not quite frankly unheard of. And I'd say you've probably been waiting about 5 or 10 minutes, and Nira, as you see the same pretty much scene in front of you, you can see the people congregating. You can see one person sitting in the waiting area, and you can see the information booth.
Yep. She'll kind of walk up and say, Captain Morgana to see Admiral Santos.
Um, and
Just to quickly, just quickly describe, Desesh is not good at waiting, so his posture has quickly regressed into looking a little bit frustrated, and he is now just kind of sitting there and has already kind of come to the belief that he's being messed with. So he's that's sort of his posture as he's sitting there.
That's a. I'm gonna state now that is a hilarious quirk for a lawyer because they is nothing but waiting.
Yeah, it's something exceptional.
and I love it. So as the woman greets you and smiles, she says, "Of course, the admiral's just running a couple minutes behind. I apologize. If you could just take a seat next to that impatient gentleman, we'll get you both in as soon as possible."
She nods. Thank you, and she'll walk over and just kind of sit down. She'll actually, ironically enough, she'll just kind of flop down into the chair next to Sesh,
Out of
and just
curiosity,
deflate.
which side of me do you sit on? The left or the right?
Uh,
To my
it,
left or right?
the way the tokens are, she just kind of flops into the seat next to you.
So your
Okay.
left.
All right. Uh, all right. So Desesh kind of like smiles for a moment, but then immediately sees the captain's pips and is like starts to sit up a little bit more, but
Yeah,
otherwise doesn't say anything.
she is like lounged in the chair, like she's just sighed and like she's let her belt loose kind of thing. She's just like, ah, kind of look on her.
Mhm.
She just looks and says, "Ah, been waiting long."
Yeah, you might as well get comfortable.
Eh, this place never bothered me all that much.
I never came in here for anything that I enjoyed.
Oh well, that's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, you kind of spend most of your time trying to stay out of this, right? I mean, I'm Starfleet Medical. I mean, I don't know much about it, to be honest.
Well, it's the medical branch of Starfleet. It's full of doctors, myself included. She says,
He smiles. Yeah, well, just when you're in JAG, they like when you meet the doctors, they're generally not in their scrubs.
that's fair. That is very fair.
Mm.
So, what's brought you here? Uh, Patient or other?
Just actually, not to cut you off, but just as you ask that, you can both see one of the medical staff come up to the two of you as they say, "Excuse me, Captain Morgana, Lieutenant Commander Araj." Oh, then looking at you, I'm sorry, Lieutenant Commander Desesh.
Like surprise falls over Desesh's face as he was expecting a much older captain, uh, and like he looks confused, like he hasn't put that together. But but nonetheless, he like is suddenly like feeling a little bit self conscious, and he's like, "Yeah, Desesh, yes, thank you,
I'm Captain Morgana, yes.
Ah, excellent. You're
pleasure
both
to
from the
meet
same
you."
place. Uh, yes, of course, you too. My name is Greg, and if you both will just follow me, I'd be happy to show you to the Admiral.
All right.
Sure.
Desesh kind of smiles weakly at at Captain Morgana. Yeah, I guess we're going to the same place.
Apparently. Yeah. Isn't this a treat?
Uh, Hopefully soon, Greg says impatiently. I apologize, but it's a busy day here after all.
Isn't it always, she says, and she'll walk to the door and
Did he tell us that we weren't going anywhere yet, or did he just?
Oh no, he basically said I'm here to bring you to the Admiral.
Oh, okay, so we're following along. Okay, all right.
yeah, he basically pulled the house move and's like, all right, you can move now. Come on.
Mm-hmm. All
um,
right. I'm getting
and
the
as
impression that Morgana doesn't know who I am, though. Uh,
Nope. She has no idea.
okay, all right.
um, and
I'm just
as he
following along.
and he leads you guys through the corridors for a couple minutes before finally getting to one of the larger offices in the building. And as he as he hits the control to start opening the door, he says, "This is the office of Admiral Santos. I'll leave you here and go on about my day." And as the door slides open without actually waiting for either of you to respond, he spins around and just starts walking away.
Yeah. Morgana will actually say under her breath, but where the Sash can hear, what an incredible ass. She says, asshole, I mean. She says, corrects herself.
Yeah. Desesh like kind of smiles at it, but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's having a bad day.
He's a doctor. He's always having a bad day.
No bedside manner, that's for sure.
Well, that's okay. He doesn't deal with patients, only other doctors. The two of you here from inside the office.
My apologies, Admiral, for talking outside. She says, coming into the office.
Um,
I,
and I'm sorry,
Desesh
go ahead.
kind of rolls his eyes like he didn't realize he was going to be overheard by the admiral, but uh, but he saunters in.
Um, and as the both of you come into the office, you can see the smiling face of the admiral as he looks a little amused, and and says, "Ah, Captain Morgana, Lieutenant Commander Desesh. I see you two have met each other. That's good, especially since you'll be working together."
She
Desesh kind of
looks at.
gives like a surprise.
Oh, well, that's good. She says he seems like a interesting fellow. In
Well,
what capacity? She says.
Well, I'm sure you both are a little confused being at Starfleet Medical instead of Starfleet headquarters for this, but um, I believe Admiral Bartlett has already filled you in, Captain Morgana, that you are to take over a vessel.
Yes.
Well, um, I wanted to bring you both in here because you, Lieutenant Commander Desesh, have been assigned as first officer of said vessel, and well, this is, and he gets a moment of pride in his face before he continues. Well, this one's, well, quite frankly, a little important to me, so I wanted to brief you here. The Nightingale, the name of the which is the ship for which you two will command. Well, she's one of the first um, ships that is well devoted to Starfleet medicinal approach and sciences, and one of the first ships that's actually under the direct purview of medical, um, as opposed to the regular fleet channels.
Well, that would definitely cut through some red tape, so
What's its
hooray for
mandate?
that.
Um, looking, looking, well, both embarrassed and excited. He looks at you, Desesh, as he says, well, the mandate's pretty simple, really. To help. Uh, how? Well, I'm sure that will be constantly evolving, but we're I and he says I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably tell you about the ship. I assume you both have heard of the are aware of the Prometheus class.
Through rumors, yes.
Blitzen 3?
Yes, it does, he says as he rubs his hands together almost gleefully and says, well, we got one of them.
Prometheus.
Isn't that a warship, Admiral?
Snapping his fingers and pointing to you, he says, yes, it was. However, and as his exuberance starts to rise, he says, however, we've gutted a lot of its adversarial capabilities to make room for, well, quite frankly, a lot of interesting and neat stuff. The ship now comes equipped with a ejectable biological research lab, and one the lower third of the ship has been retrofitted to essentially make it a um, floating hospital, as it were. The entire ship, of course, comes equipped with holographic um, holographic generators with which to ease that process. Um, and well, quite frankly, she's incredibly nifty. But um, when you get there, I'm sure that your second officer, Jill, Jillian Reynolds. Well, I'm sorry, Jillian Lawson Reynolds is prepared to give you a tour of the ship to let you know of her true capabilities. But
Ah,
but I have to tell you, I am excited, Captain. I This is one of the first missions of the kind for Starfleet Medical, and well, the ship's brand new. There's nothing like it.
Uh, Lieutenant Commander Desesh is like kind of nodding along and kind of like doing his best to sort of mirror the enthusiasm that the admiral is setting off, but he is also like being very quiet, and I get the impression that Morgana is something of a trained observer. She might be noticing that Desesh doesn't seem particularly thrilled about the description that Santos is giving. He's kind of just sucking up.
Yeah, yeah, she'll note it away for later.
And and I'll be honest, the admiral is excited enough that, well, he just doesn't. He's so animated in talking about this that it's almost like he's at least momentarily in his own little universe.
Yep, and the captain will let him tirade for a bit. Uh,
Mhm.
and like 20 minutes later, she'll be like, "So, do we get a chance to see her?"
Oh, oh, of course, of course. And he said, I was gonna just directly beam you there, but well, quite frankly, and he goes on to say, and the one other thing that I should mention is, at least for now, Starfleet Medical, we've decided to task the Nightingale to Deep Space 17. From what we understand, she's now in a unknown region of space, and well, with the efforts in Cardassia starting to wind down a little bit, we've got a little bit more personnel within the fleet to administer our daily needs. For a ship like this, for the problems you might encounter, quite frankly, well, I think being in a region of previously unexplored space will be a boon to the station and to their many occupants.
So, uh, if I may ask, Admiral, is are there any extant problems that are already happening in that region of space that are medical in nature?
We've had a couple unusual flare ups with interesting diseases, to say the least. And there have been a number of medical emergencies on that station. So far, their own CMO, Dr. Mountain, has handled the situation with the plum. However, just the fact that that station is so far outside of the heart of our territory, uh, well, it's a lot of weight to put on one medical team.
He's not wrong. An entire sector of space, and you're the only station for light years. That could spell trouble fast.
Um, now, I have a note from the commander of Deep Space 17. As I said, I was gonna transport you directly to the ship, but um, it seems as if he went through a little trouble. I guess he wanted to congratulate you, um, Miss or Captain Morgana, and he actually acquisitioned a specific shuttle for the two of you to take up and give you an outside tour of the ship before you dock.
That
Ah,
sounds good. I've never seen a Prometheus class before.
As he smiles, he says, "Well, that's about to change." Um, and as he stands up to start giving you directions on how to basically get to the shuttle, he says, "Oh, I almost forgot, Captain Morgana. That came with a note, um, and it said, uh, hopefully, um, hopefully, uh, the shuttle ages." And then he actually kind of reads it, and he gets a little red as uh, he looks up at you and says, "I'm sorry, Captain. This is quite rude, but apparently the note says, hopefully this shuttle ages better than you do."
She laughs at that and says, "Ah, well, seems he hasn't lost his sense of humor."
Is there transportation paperwork or like the requisition or anything? I kind of want to actually look at the paperwork.
Um, sure.
Basically, what I'm looking for is I want to find out is the package that Zarif asked me to bring, is it on the shuttle already? Uh,
It's a reef, but yeah.
Arif, sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, but is it on the shuttle already? And two, did it go through customs?
Uh, no, it's not on the shuttle already. Yes. In addition to all the stuff or the information he sent you, it was the custom. It is legit and on the up and up. All the paperwork is correct. The
Hmm.
merchandise is paid for and is awaiting transport.
Okay, so do I have to get that before I get to the shuttle then, or is
Oh
it
no no
already
no.
on the ship?
It's basically waiting to get beamed on the ship. Just kind
Oh, okay, so I
of
just have to
do it
be
as
on the
he.
ship.
Yeah, do it before you leave the system, pretty much.
Oh, okay, all right.
Are we letting the captain know?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Oh, well, I guess we'll find out. But I haven't mentioned it yet. I was just looking at the
Fair.
paperwork at that moment.
And as the admiral stands up and says, "Well, we'll be in contact regularly. So, I hope, God, I'm I am envious of the adventure the two of you are about to have."
She smiles pleasantly and nods and says, "If that is all, Admiral, I do have to collect somebody. They would like to see the ship as well." She smiles.
Of course. And he gives you both. He gives you both, or he forwards you both the information, basically the docking port that the shuttle's at, and says, she's ready to take off in about an hour. So please, collect anything you need, and then why don't the two of you, um, you know,
Would you like to get some breakfast, Captain?
She nods. She says, "I do have to go to my flat afterwards, though."
All right, lead the way.
She nods, and she'll probably take him to like a I don't know. Actually, she will take him to a transporter pad and transport him to London, and then find a breakfast place. Get in. She wants an English breakfast.
All right, well, you've got the pull for that. Once we are out of the admiral's line of hearing, though, I bring up the Commander Arif. How do you, if you don't mind my asking, Captain, how do you know him?
Uh, well, we were an item about 50 years ago. She
Mhm.
says, and apparently he didn't take my choice all that well.
Uh, I just so you know, he contacted me. I actually found out about my posting from him. Uh, he like I he mentioned that he had a package he wanted to have delivered to Starbase 17, 117? 17. Uh, he gave me the information on that. I just thought I'd mention it before it ended up beaming onto your ship, given that maybe there's some bad blood there.
Oh, no, no, not at all. She says, "Please, uh, beam it on board. However," she says with a devious grin on her face, uh, "don't deliver it to him when we get to the station." She says, "I have something better in mind."
Fair enough, Captain. I'll make sure that it gets on board. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't contributing to any unnecessary drama.
She nods. Oh, not at all. Frankly, Reef has good taste, so odds are that desk will look fantastic in my ready room.
Fair enough.
And as you guys kind of get acquainted and have a breakfast, and the captain is able to pick up her other passenger. Um, uh, there's the token. Excellent. I get to add it to the next screen because I'm gonna say about an hour goes by, and the two of you make it to the shuttle, and as the both of you are cleared for everything, you realize that it appears that Starfleet hasn't assigned you a pilot.
Oh, dear.
Well, Desesh kind of looks over the flight stuff, and in absence of a pilot, he just kind of like uh, looks for confirmation and then sits down in the pilot's seat. Uh,
Yeah, she'll sit in the co pilot seat, dog on her lap.
mhm. Tell me about what breed is the dog? What does it look like?
It's a Shiba Inu. It's a black and tan one, black, tan, and white.
Hmm.
It looks to be about 6 weeks old.
Hmm.
Um, and speaking of which, because I forgot to mention it, the shuttle that you guys are actually sitting in right now is a very very old fashioned shuttle pod, and the tag on the side actually says NX-01 Enterprise.
All right, you old bastard. She says, getting onto the shuttle pod. All
All
right,
right,
well,
I'm kind of looking at this antique here, uh, starting to wonder if I actually know how to fly one of these things.
I
But
think we're about to find out.
yeah, I guess I am. And gonna try not to embarrass myself in front of my new captain.
mm-hmm.
So that's fair. Why don't why don't you give me a control con difficulty? We'll make it one, but just for the hell of it, I'm gonna spend two threat to going down to six. I'm sorry, eight. And I'm gonna make the complication range two.
All right. Well, two can play at that game. I'm gonna spend that one momentum we have. See if I can build some. Uh, so so that was control con, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. Woot!
All right.
Oh,
Give me
sorry.
that.
That two may not. I forgot to not click the focus thing, so I don't know that two counts because I don't have anything in flying, unless
Yeah,
logistics counts. No, no.
Oh,
Yeah,
we'll
like
let
it's
it
just
count for this
it's
time
two
around.
successes or
I
whatever. Sure.
we could argue you have a focus because you have somebody in there that was alive the time these were in service.
Uh,
Fair enough.
yes, and it's
You can.
session number one, so I'm gonna feel very giving as we'll call that three successes, gaining you two momentum, going up to three as you confidently lift the shuttle pod off of the ground, and as you're flying it, you realize that yeah, it's definitely different from the crafts that you are used to, but there's actually something. Well, I don't know if you would find it so, but there's something almost visceral or thrilling about ascending in one of these older crafts. The shakes are a little bit more so. The dampeners are a
Yeah,
little
the
bit
inertial
lesser,
dampeners and yeah. Hmm.
and
You do get the distinct impression that the lieutenant commander kind of drives like he just learned kind of thing. Like, and it's not just the shuttle; it's just like that he's very careful about all of the rules and and whatnot, that this is just not something that is has been a part of his experience very often, even
Well,
though he's
he's
clearly proficient at it.
yeah. Well, she looks and says, "Well, not bad. I wasn't expecting expecting somebody to actually grasp the manual controls."
I've I've been through all of the simulators, but I have to admit, you don't have to do much of this stuff when you're operating with engineering. There's just the pilots pretty much handle it.
Normally, yes, normally. He says.
And as you ascend and the atmosphere starts to get lighter and lighter until it gets dark enough to go pitch black as you leave it completely. You travel the short couple minutes over to Utopia, and as as you start to get closer, you see a number of ships in a line. You can see a few pretty standard models, a Galaxy. There's an Intrepid, until finally you come across this. And if you're seeing it for the first time, it's almost like it's an Intrepid, but it's got such a different saucer, more angular and arrowheadish, with a complete extra set in the cells as the two of you start to close in on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the sort of like beauty run around it for the captain's benefit. Uh,
Yep.
you can sort of tell that the sesh, like, he's got a certain curiosity to it, but he's like just uh, it's like this is like a highlight of what is otherwise not a very good time for him.
Yep.
Uh, and as you gracefully kind of fly around the ship, perhaps doing a couple different runs at a couple different angles, you can see the awaiting shuttle bay doors, and as they open up to your approach, you can both see, in the shuttle bay. There's a few people, but one person that looks almost a little, well. I don't know. What does she look like?
What does Jill look like?
Oh, so Jill's a not entirely too tall of a woman. Dark black hair, the dark black betazoid eyes, and standing very much as a captain. Um, Structured. Keep an eye on everything as they're watching the shuttle pod come in. Just definitely standing at attention, but not so rigid as you'd see most lieutenants
Oh, fair.
in command red.
Ah. She goes, look at that, Tasesh. We have a welcoming committee.
Yeah, like uh, Jill would probably immediately get that flash. Very often, telepaths would experience when someone who didn't realize that they were about to interact with the telepath immediately starts going through all of the embarrassing thoughts in their head, trying to not think them. Particularly given the attractive women around, Desesh is like a little flustered by that.
Wait, what?
No, that's fair.
Um,
uh,
Um,
yeah, Captain. Yeah, welcoming committee.
I'm sorry, I
Hmm.
missed the part. Did both of you both of you actually come off the shuttle?
Yeah, we'll step out.
Yep. And she, like I said, she's got a puppy in her arms. Blue streak in her hair. Does not look old enough to be a captain. She
Yeah,
probably looks about 29.
yeah. Jill looks to be about 4 or 5 years older than Morgana. Looking
Hmm.
over the two, she'll walk up and reach out a hand. Uh, Welcome aboard, and she'll even looking the sash up and down the with a smirk. So,
Hmm. He
shipmates,
just like does his best to present himself as well. Hello, Lieutenant Commander Desesh.
welcome aboard, and Captain, pleased to finally meet you. She'll extend a hand to the captain as well.
She'll shift the puppy in her arm and hold her hand out. It's a pleasure to meet you too.
What is Jill? I've only heard Jill yet, but what's her rank? Lieutenant?
She's got Lieutenant Commander's pips on her collar.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, uh, I suppose you two need to be shown around the place. Do you want the detailed tour or the short one?
Well, this is morning for me, Captain.
Well, I mean, it is a bunch of new toys. Why not? She says.
She'll give another soft white smile and nod. Well, don't mind the don't mind the busyness around here. You know how ships about to leave dry dock are, but we'll be ready for scheduled departure. And this way.
Excellent. And she'll walk. She'll stop by one of the industrial replicators and replicate a leash, and then kind of just let uh, Ari walk.
And we'll
Obvious
if
the hologram.
I'm sorry, say again.
There's a generic hologram like across the on the map there, and I was just curious how obvious is it that that's a hologram?
Um, it's not obvious. As to character wise, it isn't obvious.
I'm
It's
just
simply
curious.
um,
They're in a
it doesn't.
uniform.
Yep. So it's almost like a Ralph or a Gary, or actually, I don't know if
Okay.
those are the correct terms. Just a generic human wearing a Starfleet uniform.
Okay. Just curious.
One thing that you'll immediately notice as Jill's just giving a general overview of the ship. Uh, Almost every other crew member, she'll stop and ask a quick question about a specific corporation, like Phelan. She'll ask him how if the uh, if the phasers have been stored in the armories yet, or if they're still in or out.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. This ain't the Enterprise. We don't wait for Tuesday.
She'll give a smile. Like, absolutely.
It wasn't every enterprise, Morgana says under her breath, with a chuckle.
Tuesday's a little bit of a bad Tuesday. People have been told Tuesday is not going to happen around here.
Well, that's a good thing it's Thursday then.
Which, for the storyteller's sake, if Jill was more or less left running, getting the ship ready to go and underway for a certain time, if it was set to, if we were supposed to be departing at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., she was pushing to have everything done by 4.
Well, that's a good thing too because your departure is only a couple hours away, and that means that pretty much all that's left to do is final checks and sweeping up.
Um, so yeah, going through the ship, the overview is yeah, Prometheus class. Most of the weapons have been stripped out and removed. Phaser strips shortened. Number of the torpedo capacity reduced to make room for all of the improvements. Uh, Crew requirements have been dramatically reduced to make room for the civilian crew. And she's just talking as they're going through the different corridors, stopping at, here's this lab. The center
Uh,
section has been built up as the primary portion of the ship for operations. Biolab is in the on the dorsal section, and the hospital section is all of the lower half of the ship.
Lieutenant Commander, did you have a question? She says, turning to Desesh.
so they've removed most of the defensive weaponry.
Most, but not all. The ship was still originally designed for combat and can't pull all of the teeth. Maybe a little bit more than I would have preferred, but this is a medical ship now, so it makes sense not to expect combat as much as a normal ship of this class would fare.
Disesh nods and smiles, but for people who can see past the surface, he is like uh, he has a distinct impression that this post is a punishment, and he's kind of carrying that with him as he like smiles his way through this.
Disesh, give me an insight command or maybe security.
Insight, insight command.
I'd
All
Yeah,
also
right.
say insight, just because I think I know where this is going. I'd also posit insight medicine might be appropriate.
that's fair. I'm only looking for one.
So you want me to roll that? Okay. Uh, 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 making sure they don't have any. Okay, yeah, all right. I'll just roll that. Hmm, not
Oh,
bad.
and for the record, before we get to the result of that, just me as a GM, if you ever have like a personal character thing, like what's about to happen, you can always feel free to ask a different character to make a roll on it, like what just
Yes.
happened. But just
Hmm.
know that while you can spend threat and momentum on those, I'm not going to award momentum for successes.
For for roles we call for, yeah. That makes sense. And I assume just because that's sort of what I've been doing that if I just want information to get out there, that I can just fail rolls.
Yes, you can always.
Yeah, because that's sort of what I've been why I've been throwing my inner monologue out there.
Oh no, it's funny too. Cause well, let's see what the result of this is.
Yes.
Throughout the throughout this tour and explanation of what's been done to the ship, it's it's very well hidden, but I mean, 2 successes, damn. It's very much a veiled annoyance and frustration at the same post, and she's comporting herself as a captain would, going through the ship more than just another lieutenant or lieutenant commander. Like, you've seen this behavior with other captains more than other people of her actual rank.
Now, incidentally, my character has the talent of cold reading, which means that normally on rolls in which uh, I am getting information about people, I can ask an additional question. Is it okay if I do?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Trying to figure out if she's single.
Uh, there's no reason. There's no reason to assume that she's not. There's no ring for that level of detail. There's well, does he look for a ring?
Yes.
There's the tan line of a ring being there.
Mm-hmm. Like he's mostly looking at it in her dinner, right? Because he's doing the cold reading thing of like trying to figure out based on her behavior somewhat as well. But yes, he would look for that.
Yeah, all signs point to not being attached.
Okay.
So, I do have a question. Are we the three senior most officers on this ship? Jesus? Or who are the heads of the departments? Jesus.
Then you
We we are the three senior most officers. Yourself, Lieutenant Commander Desesh here, and myself. The department heads, well, science, engineering, security. You're looking at her.
Oh, man. Aren't we an overachiever? She smiles.
well,
A very quick smirk back, and it seems the command structure was changed for this ship because with a medical priority on our mission, the other departments don't seem as relevant. So I'll be overseeing the staff of all three departments. I may not be an expert in any one of them, but I can make sure that they all do their jobs for you.
She nods. Well, I expect you two to work very well together, she says. Looking between the two officers.
Desesh
Just
just kind of like
get a
smiles
long
again.
um, yeah, just gives the Bajoran a long look up and down from the older woman and with a nod. I don't see why not.
Excellent.
And if I perhaps we should take a look at a crew complement. It seems that well, both of us were brought into this a little bit last minute. I'd like to see who uh, who we're working with.
That is an excellent idea, she says, looking at Dasesh, and says, good. As your first job as my XO, I would like you to put together a get together of the heads of the department and, well, senior staff, i.e., us. She says, one of the lounges would do, I think.
Yeah, Captain.
We have enough adequate space. I'll have the crew list sent to you shortly.
All right. Do I have an office?
Yes, you do.
Excellent. I guess that would be the best place for me to work. Which deck? I don't really know the layout of this model.
It is deck 7.
I'll get the computer to lead me there.
Deck 7, Section 5.
All right. The lieutenant commander wanders into the hallway and asks the computer to lead him there,
And
leaving captain and the lieutenant commander together. Kind of breathes a sigh of relief.
Computer
Yeah.
stop. Sorry.
Nira just looks at Jillian and says, "You seem a bit overqualified for the position that you are in." She says, "I'm sure
Mm,
there's a story behind that."
she nods. And with a sigh, it's probably easier to just look at it in my file, but to save you the novel, former captain USS Excelsior, up until the end of the war.
Hmm. She nods. Interesting. Well, I mean, granted, it won't be an ideal assignment for you, I'm sure. From what I'm told, I'm not exactly hard to work for, so shouldn't be all that bad.
I'm glad to hear that. And what about your story? You seem a little young to have a command like this.
She chuckles a bit and says, "Well, aren't you the sweetest thing? I'm a bit older than I look. Quite a bit older, actually. Um, I."
Oh, that's right.
She nods.
Listeners. She'll nod. That makes a little more sense. Oh, I suppose you like any particular area of the ship you'd like to see?
Um, she thinks about that for a moment. Well, frankly, I kind of want to see the hospital, being a doctor and all.
She nods and gestures towards one of the corridors leading to the turbo lift. And Deck 12, all the way down to the hospital area.
Yeah.
Um, and as you get in there, there's actually two rooms side by side. One of them at the moment is just an empty, huge, vacant area, and the uh, Joe would Joe would know and inform would inform that it's the area where that's the holographic hospital essentially if the main sick bay ever gets overrun, and there's additional and backup power generators that are devoted simply for this specific room. It is not connected to the main power grid. And then the room next to it is the always functional main sick bay, and as the doors to that slide open, you can see a number of nurses and and staff kind of just milling about, doing final checks, and one shorter human overseeing it, who Joe certainly met before as Mr. Vanderveer.
Dr. Vanderveer.
And yeah, walking in. So each section is still independently capable of operating bridge and engineering, all the logistics needed to have a independent starship as the original Prometheus. And oh, Dr. Vanderveer, this is Captain Morgana. She's the captain of the ship.
Oh, hi, Captain.
Pleasure to meet you. She just kind of looks him over and then kind of looks to one of the med beds and then looks back at him like, huh, can this man see over the med bed?
Question
Uh,
was Vanderveer assigned or did he volunteer?
He was approached by someone from Starfleet Medical.
The doctor here may not seem like much, as she even her shorter height stands over him. But he actually comes with several qualifications.
Ah, she'll she'll put her hand out and say, "Well, it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow doctor."
Yes, of course. I have a background in epidemiology, forensic pathology, surgery, neurology, traumatology, and an honorary degree in xenobiology.
Oh, well, isn't that interesting? I have an actual degree in xenobiology. She smiles. Emergency medicine, genetics, and triage. Also trained counselor. She smiles. We're doing the equivalent of Dr. Dick waving.
Measuring, but fair.
Yeah, she's she says. So, I'm guessing since the rest are nurses that you run the hospital.
Well, yeah, my last job was as a director of medicine. Like a coordinator.
Uh, yes, I'm well aware of the position. Well, good. She says it was a pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure we'll be getting to know each other in a little while. You should be expecting a message shortly. She says.
Shortly.
Uh, yes, as in a small amount of time.
What's the
The
reason he told you to be done? Wanted you to be done 2 hours ago versus our actual departure time of 2 hours from now.
since she's referring to it, uh, Desesh has kind of like slumped into his office chair, and he does go through and like use the computer to find his to like set up that invitation to a a get together meeting in one of the lounges. Uh,
Which Joe would have given a recommendation of whatever the largest
mhm,
area would be suited for the living crew, and she did specify a living crew.
mhm. That's interesting. Now, at this point, like since I've seen a crew complement, I probably would be aware of the fact that there's a very small crew complement.
Oh yes,
Absolutely.
and really, in terms of senior staff itself, it's only you, the captain, and Jill, all of which you've met, along with Alphonse Vanderveer, who you have not, and Kiana ha- Hakuri,
Yes, Hakuri.
also who you have not met.
Hmm. Well, the messages have gone out to those people. If there is a quick moment, though, I would like to call for a scene.
Sure.
Of course.
Uh, Specifically, I don't know if you want me to spend momentum for this or not, but I'd like there to be someone that I could call to ask about why I was sent here. But someone that I feel that I could maybe be somewhat honest about my feelings about it. Like, do I know someone in Starfleet personnel, or maybe my old commander from my previous shift who told me to report to Earth? Someone.
Okay. Um, uh, yeah. One of your, you don't have to spend a momentum for this,
Hmm.
but I'll say that one of you do. You know what? You remember perhaps uh, a certain one of your senior officers who was very much into both gossip and current events. He was that water cooler guy that always knew who was getting the
Mhm.
promotion. Um,
Ideally, someone who is like qualified, like that. I'm not going to be breaking protocol to talk openly about my posting.
no, I mean it's not an admiral or anything, but he's attained the rank of captain, though he doesn't actually. He he
A
works at the.
bureaucrat.
Yeah, he's a bureaucrat. He's a paper pusher.
Hmm. All right. I probably know a lot of those. So I'm just gonna
Um,
just Desesharash to Captain Lawrence.
Uh, and a couple moments go by as the transmission is filtering, but not quick at all because you're still orbiting Earth and whatnot, or in the solar system. And a couple moments later, you can see his face on the screen as he sees you as he says, "Ah, Raj, my friend." And it almost looks like he's struggling to hold back laughter as he says, "I was wondering how long it would take before you were going to call me."
What am I doing on an ambulance?
Well, looking at you, he says, "Well, it quite frankly seems like, from what I hear, it seems this DS-17 commander, he spent a very, very long time, weeks even, poring over personnel files once he found out about the Nightingale and who was chosen to captain it. Uh, Seems like
This is
there's.
this isn't some joke that like Satie's playing on me because I've been in a hospital for the last year.
Oh, come on, Araj. You know better than anyone, and certainly with all the stories I've told you, that careers have been made over less. Besides, this
They're
is
sending me
this is a prestigious posting.
prestigious for somebody, but this is putting me as far as possible away from anyone that is capable of making any real decisions.
It, I'd say the flip side of the coin to that is that puts you significant ranks up, or leaps up the ladder in being that person that makes those decisions.
And if my intention was to stay in Starfleet, that would probably be great. But my political career is going to well, I mean, I was kind of hoping to have a little bit more time on Earth to try and figure this out.
Well, if I may, it
It's okay, Charles. Go ahead. I
well, that's an interesting point. The politics is always an option. After all, no offense, but you certainly would get a lot from the whole Bajoran and sympathy vibe. Though at the same time, at the moment, quite frankly, what's it called? Uh, feelings of feelings of sorrow and pity for Cardassians might well, they're on the rise. It might be the best time to wait for those ambitions.
uh, I don't want Cardassi to stand in my way any longer than I absolutely have to. Bajor could be a Federation could be a Federation member any day now. And this is sending me as far as possible away from where I was intending to be at this point.
Well, you could always quit, but then you stop getting paid.
No, I can make this work. If I intend, I have to get out of this with my reputation reasonably intact. And truth be told, humanitarian missions is probably going to look pretty good.
Of
I'll make
course,
this
please.
work. I'll
Well,
make this work. But I don't I don't know what game this commander's playing. But I
well,
still don't see why me.
the one thing you can be assured of, whatever game he is playing probably has nothing to do with you. You just
I just
happen
happen to be
to.
the right resume at the right time. Well, I suppose that's better than the alternative. All right, I guess I've got a meeting to go to. Thanks, Lawrence.
Anytime, and hey, I'm always here if you need me. I'll keep my ear to the ground for you.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be like able to talk to you live pretty soon. I'm going to be on the front.
Well, they have booster satellites. You aren't going to the Delta Quadrant.
That's true.
We'll keep in
Well,
touch.
I guess next time you hear from me, it'll probably be from Starbase 17.
Well, bon voyage, my friend. Godspeed.
Yeah, we can cut that scene there. Thank you.
No, you, of course, and we'll say as that's going on, everyone's gotten their messages, and uh, we'll
Nira, I would like to say that Nira has had a yeoman move that desk into her ready room, and she has replicated the picture, that desk in the picture that I posted. That is going to be a Reef's desk.
okay.
He wants to send her some shit like, I hope the shuttle ages better than you do. She's gonna take his oak desk.
Okay, that's fair. Um, that's fair. That's a fair counter. But we'll go to Kiana, who is doing her own final checks on the biolab portion of the bridge, uh, or the biolab's bridge. And as she's looking around, she can see that her pilot pretty is at post, even though there's, well, quite frankly, nothing for him to do until the ship separates. But regulations are regulations. Um, and there's a engineer doing final checks in the background, and lastly, there is her second officer of the biolab portion, Karen Stevens, who walks up to her and says, "Ah, um, I was I would just like you to know that everything looks 5 by 5. We seem to be good to go. Even if we would have to separate, I think we're prepared to handle that."
Good. I'm glad everything's in order.
Um, and as she kind of looks to the chair on the bridge, she says, "So, I know that you're a civilian, but I hope you knew. I don't know where you intend to spend most of your time, but whenever you're here, I hope you realize that that chair is yours."
Understood. Thank you.
And is there, as she looks around, she says, "I'll also be honest. I'm not used to working for or with civilians. So if you find my bearing uh, a little too strict or a little too regal, perhaps, um, I hope you could let me know so I can adjust."
I'm sure we'll do just fine.
And as she smiles at you, the message from Lieutenant Commander Desesh comes in as it appears the captain has arrived on the ship and is planning a meeting of the senior staff in the observation lounge in a few minutes.
I'll be right there. Karen, keep an eye on stuff for me, please.
Oh, I'd be happy to, ma'am. That's why I'm here.
Great. See you in a little bit.
And as you start to walk away, a couple moments later, she slides herself into the command chair as she lifts up the armrest console and starts doing some final checks herself. And as you get into the lounge, you can see that pretty much. I'm gonna kind of pull us all together and just bring us into the conference lounge
Yep.
as we all kind of file in.
Probably the observation yeah, is probably the best.
And as the five of you get in there, let's see, there's a few other people there too, but as they kind of as they see the group of senior officers, they kind of keep their distance a little bit. There's a couple Starfleet officers and a couple civilians.
Yep, and Nero will be pleasant and greet them all. Uh, and then make her way to kind of sit and pet the dog on her lap and wait for people.
All right. Well, the XO arrives as quickly as he can. He wants to be there to sort of greet the staff as well.
Next.
Ah, Commander, it's I assume everything in your office was to your liking.
Yeah. I mean, uh, it's pretty much the way I like it. Uh, I it seems like a lot of the offices have been moved around on this thing. Feeling pretty good about it though. Uh, I haven't been to the bridge yet.
Mm, frankly, nor have I. I had a bit of business to attend to after my tour.
Cap-
Thank you, by the way.
Captain, if you don't mind my asking, uh, it seems like you haven't been involved in a lot of the hiring process here. Were you like? I got the impression from my assignment that there was someone ahead of the line at some point. Uh, that I was a last minute changeover. Was that the case with you as well? Do you know?
No, frankly. Well, she says, this time about 10 months ago, I was the CMO of the USS Gungnir. So she just kind of shrugs, scratching the dog behind the ears.
Are you aware of the skeleton crew that we have on this ship?
She raises an eyebrow and looks around to
He,
the.
Standard crew complement for a ship of this of size is significantly larger than the complement that we currently have on the ship. I was wondering if someone could fill me in on why that is the case.
Um,
Is
Lieutenant Commander. She looks at Jill.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
Take,
Um,
it takes a few seconds for the lieutenant commander to sink in. Oh, no, the ship is minimally staffed with living crew, but we are augmented with holographic projectors. A holographic crew on a separate core, a computer processing core. We have more than enough able-bodied programs to assist in whatever tasks, which for one allows us to minimize risks to living crew, as well as it allows us to adapt any of the programs to whatever our current mission may be, whether it's more focused in trauma or search and rescue, whatever may come up. For our complement, for what we are designed for, is standard for the modifications that have been made.
Um, and just as she's done saying that, you hear a soft voice come behind it, or as it adds, make make no mistake, Lieutenant Commander. Is not this might not be a warship anymore, but it is certainly uh, a just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, on a more dangerous mission than the typical warship. Our enemies might not come equipped with phasers and shields, but
mhm,
they're they're small, they're numerous, and they are resistant.
mhm.
And
Just
Commander, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And as, just after he was done, Jill would actually introduce the figure to Dinesh or Dinesh.
Um, is it, ah,
I just
Mr.
The player
Oh,
just
sorry.
has no idea who that is.
Um, and um, as Jill introduces you to Dean Corso, the head researcher and librarian, civilian on the ship, uh, he favors you with an easy smile as he says, "Ah, yes, I'm sure we'll work quite well together. If I'm most of the time, you can find me by the in the library, sometimes in the gym."
mhm. For the benefit of the Bajoran in the room, or sorry, the Betazoid in the room, like when Desesh was informed of the holographic nature of the majority of the crew,
Wait,
it's kind of like
hold
there
on,
was.
hold on. Not to cut you
No,
off. Uh, uh, hold on for 1 second before
okay,
you continue with that, please.
all right, no problem.
Uh, Although the captain noticing uh, that her exo is not nearly as thrilled as she thinks he should be.
Well,
Uh,
actually,
I was going to make
well,
an
I'm
insight
holding
command
at the
roll.
moment, but something happened there. Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah. Sorry, just give me 2 seconds.
Because your captain was a counselor. So
Well, yeah, I kind
Dinesh
of.
is screwed.
Or I'll tell you what. I'll say that whatever the captain was about to say was like a minute and a half ago, so you guys can go on while I clear this up.
Sure.
Uh, okay, sorry. Am I supposed to be looking for like a message or something?
No, not you.
Oh, okay. Something else is happening. All right.
Yeah. She'll the being a Lorian, listening and paying attention is what they do.
Yeah,
Uh
I I'm trying to be like descriptive about what's going on in Desesh's head because you'd probably be picking up on it.
well, out of his physical things,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of that, like there, whatever she said there, it was significant to the session in some way. Like, he would, like a piece clicked into place.
Yep. The captain will look at Dasesh and say, "So I take it that, while you not being the first choice, this also wasn't your first choice, yeah?"
I'll let you know if I get one, but but I'm certainly looking forward to working with you, Captain.
She nods. She says, "Well, I assure you, don't let the layout of the ship or the job description of the ship color your perceptions. There will be plenty of adventure if that's what you're after."
There's opportunity here. I understand that, and I appreciate the opportunity, Captain.
She nods. And she'll lean over to Kiana and say, "Your spots are adorable."
And I apologize so much for that. Let's fast forward back that minute and a half and pretend I didn't horribly interrupt anything.
The basically what I was just going to say is that when Desesh heard that the crew was largely holographic, he immediately is like, "That's why I'm here." Is what is sort of like the click that went into his like his background. There's a reason why he might have been put on this ship, and and it started to make more sense to him at that moment.
Excellent. And I'll say also, due to your counseling background too, well, would that register in any like physical ways or?
Well, I think we already covered that a little bit. I kind of like made that clear to the captain. That was sort of the basis of our conversation a moment ago. Is that she saw that something changed in Desesh's
That's true.
demeanor when he found that out.
That is
Yep.
fair.
Hmm.
She'll just smile and say, "Oh, something got his interest."
Um, and yeah, as he's as he or I should say, as Corso looks over to the captain, says, "And of course, Captain, I'd like to congratulate you on your new posting. I am here for whatever you need as well."
She nods. She says, "Well, it's not a data list, but I'm sure she'll do." She smiles.
Um, Smiling back at that, he says, "Ah, yes, quite the ship. Did you know that?" And rattles off a couple random and archaic facts about the frame of the class and the year that it was launched.
She nods and says, "I did. Did you know that there was a compartment on between decks 2 and 3, where it was completely blind to sensors and you could hide almost anything?"
Raising his eyebrow, he says, "Really? Wow,
She nods.
that
She she says it's usually around. It's in a Jeffries tube, section 34, I believe.
says I'll have to. That's exciting. Rarely do I get new information about such things. Thank you. If you manage to find one of those areas on this ship, please, I'd love to hear about it."
I'm sure our chief of security would love to hear about it as well. She looks over at Jill.
There is an eyebrow raised, and apparently the gears are turning, but she's not going to say anything. She's still hanging out at the window.
Yep. She'll kind of right. Why I called you all here? Well, uh first to introduce myself, she stands up, she sets the puppy down who kind of curls up into a ball on the step. She says, "I'm Captain Nira Morgana. Uh if you want, ma'am, captain, or if we're off duty, Nira is fine." She says, well, I've been a doctor for well over 100 years, she says, and well, if any of you need anything, my door will always be open. She'll motion for Desesh to come stand next to her.
He does.
Right, and this is Commander Desesh, the executive officer. He will be handling the day to day, and, well, I hate to say this for him, but his door will always be open as well, she says. And
Mhm.
she actually kind of smirks when she says commander. Um, right, so now that those particular introductions are out of the way, and I've met Dr. Vanderveer, she looks at Kiana.
I'm Kiana Hikori, and I am in charge of the biolab, and I look forward to working with all of you. As she strokes the puppy.
Right. I almost forgot the most important person in the room. She says, "This is Ari," she says, pointing to the puppy. And with the exception of the medical bays, engineering, and security, uh, he will have free run of the ship, she says.
Well, my door's always open to him.
She smiles. Excellent. Oh, right. In case you thought I misspoke earlier, she reaches into her pocket and pulls out a box and hands it semi unceremoniously to Desesh, kind of jokingly. Here you
He
go. Put
he,
that
uh,
on.
he takes it. All right. I'll responsibility for the personnel.
She basically she handed you a full pip.
Hmm.
Yeah, you are now Commander
Oh, wait a minute.
Desesh.
What?
Yeah, she just promoted you to
Oh,
Commander.
field promotion. What?
What?
Captain?
Commander?
Uh,
She says.
uh I put it on. Thank you, Captain.
She nods. I
As a
like
matter
to
of fact,
have.
we're gonna refuse the promotion.
He, like there is all kinds of confusion going on inside the Sesh's head right now, but he does accept it.
You know, it
Hollow
would look
Roomba.
silly if you said no.
Hmm?
It would look poorly if you said no.
No, that's unexpected, Captain. Thank you.
Well, I
Because
figured
Or not.
I got a I
Remark.
got I got a surprise promotion this morning. I figured you might as well you might as well also.
well, thank you. It's very generous of you, Captain.
She nods. Right, so who do I have to shag to get a drink? She says, looking around.
The
It's not.
the XO is going to go over and say, "Oh, anything in particular, Captain?"
Uh, hmm. She'll name a Bajoran drink.
All right. He gets it out of the replicator.
Thank you.
Uh, almost wordlessly answering the captain's question as the doors to as the doors to the observation lounge swing open, and the two of or all of you can see Admirals Bartlett and Santos, who the civilians. So everyone in this room at this point has met Santos, but the civilians wouldn't have met Bartlett as uh, they both walk in and take a quick look out the window before looking back at the group and whistling sharply at the ship as they say, "And look at this, the senior staff together. How are you all getting acquainted?"
Well, other than the shock of my first officer here, she kind of like snaps her fingers in front of his eyes, like she's checking him for shock.
Guys, it, it's been a very strange day, Admiral.
I'm sure it has. And then looking at the captain, Santos looks at Desesh and looks back and says, "Look, judging by his reaction, would you pull a Bartlett?"
She smirks and looks at Bartlett, remembering what he did earlier today, and said, "Yeah, kinda."
Well,
Desesh straightens up a little bit, feeling the commander on his collar.
um, chuckling, Santos replies easily, "Well, I'll bet you look better doing it." And as a more serious expression comes across his face, he says, "Well, we know you're a couple hours away from departure, and well, we were hoping to gather the senior staff as it is to answer any questions you might have, and it seems like that's already been done for us, so we're ahead of schedule."
Eh, I mean, we got the nickel tool, as it were, and so far, according to my second officer, everything's on track. So I suppose just point us in a direction, Admiral.
Well, laughing at the nickel tour remark, he says, "Well, you better go on it again, because this ship is a dime piece." And
Yes,
and then he's
there's more to explore as we're in transit. It would take a couple of days to really look at everything on the ship, but the important parts were showcased at least with a smirk.
um that you know what so Jill, you have 3 momentum at the moment, and I have 8 threat. Why don't you make me a presence command? Uh, difficulty. I'm gonna do for once again. I'm gonna do momentum at 1, and uh, the benchmarks are at 1 and 3.
Okay. Take a threat and 2 momentum. I want to pass this. Does leadership or Starfleet protocol apply?
Both.
Okay.
And I apologize. Was that 1 threat and 2 momentum, or 2 threat and
Correct.
1 momentum? Okay, thank you.
Here goes nothing.
Okay then. Managing to gain 3 momentum for the squad. You can see Santos uh, basically, as you're talking, regard you and your opinion with respect the whole way, and kind of nods and agrees. However, Bartlett is a little bit different. When you start talking, you can see his face kind of fashion into a bit of a grimace, but as by the time you're done, it softens out a bit.
Okay. There is more than likely everybody else is probably giving the admirals more attention than Jill. Jill's not like leaning against the wall, but she's very indifferent towards their presence versus the others.
Meanwhile, Nira looks like she's been in the company of admirals for years and is just kind of calmly talking to them.
Yeah, it's very similar. Jill's probably a little bit more, just a slight bit more antagonistic about it.
So, Admiral, I assume you came here for a reason, she says.
Uh, just once more to wish you well and answer any questions you might have. As you know, you're to head to DS-17. Not 100% sure what they have in store for you, but um, I also wanted to let you know, or Santos starts speaking when he says, we also wanted to let you know that should things get hectic out there, you have friends here, and we're quite frankly rooting for you. Uh, all of us at Starfleet Medical, certainly at the command level, are going to be watching this pretty closely. We have nothing but faith, and we're excited to see the great results.
Well then, just keep an eye on the logs then, and you'll get your answer, she says.
And as he nods, he says, "We don't, quite frankly, we don't get ships too often to call our own, and well, you carry the, you all are going to carry the pride."
Yes, Admiral.
Well, very well. We'll get out of your hair and let you all do some any last minute adjustments or essentials that you need. And should any of you need anything before you depart, uh, please get in touch with our assistants.
Of course, Admiral. Thank you.
Um, as they start to walk out, you can see Santos kind of slow down before he gets to the door, taking one last look around the observation lounge, and he mutters to himself, "Hmm, "Really is, really is a beautiful ship." Uh, to the face of Bartlett, who also looks around and kind of his frown starts to sink in as it's clear he sees it a little bit as a waste of a resource.
Yeah. And as they walk out, Nira looks over and says, right, so we have a few hours left, she says. Everything all stowed away. We don't have to go to Planitia for anything.
Does the storyteller have anything left over?
Outside, well, it depends if we have a lumber pickup should that want to happen, but I'm ready for you guys to blast off.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
Then Jill will just forward and say, "We have a. We should be able to leave in the next 10 minutes or so. Provided nobody has anything else, I just need to check with Mr. Singh. We have final alignments within the number four nacelle. After that, everything's good to go.
I'll make sure that last minute storage issue is taken care of. After that, I'd kind of like to be on the bridge when we get underway.
Of course. Oh, Commander, have that particular package sent to my ready room. My yeoman will know what to do with it.
Understood, Captain. I'll see you there.
Thank you. And yeah, she'll go to the bridge and explain things to the yeoman. You know,
Alrighty, let me get us back to the big map real quick. Um, Here a little wrinkle in your plan, Mister Commander Desesh. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as you head to
Head to the cargo bay.
yes, as you head to the cargo bay and accept the transport, I just realized the one thing I don't have on this map is a cargo bay.
Theater of the mind.
Yep, I will fix that by next week. Um, but as it beams in, you realize that this desk that the captain was planning to abscond, uh, what's actually beaming in is trunk after trunk of actual oak. It is not an oak desk. It is oak.
oh well, then I hope he has enough sense not to actually bring that then.
Well, I'll probably the data pad that indicates what it is, but I'm not going to fill your ready room with oak. But how much of it is there?
It's about 20 trunks worth, or 20 about 20 15-foot trunks.
Hmm. Well, I obviously make sure that there's a place for it, but I have to admit, I'm still very interested in this package, and I'd probably take a moment to just use like whatever, like it's the cargo bay. I'm sure there's a tricorder for this sort of thing or sitting around, and I'm just gonna like just do a quick check over just to make sure that I know I'm not bringing anything other than wood onto the ship.
Absolutely. Why don't you give me either control science or control security? Difficulty one.
Poor Desesh. He's the only attractive man in a almost entire senior staff of women.
Yeah, the McDreaminess of this of like the Nightingale is not lost on me. Uh, the all right, so that was control plus was
Either
science,
your
was it?
uh, well, I'm sorry. Yes, science or security. I think both would be.
Yep. Okay, I'll do security. And I don't have a focus here. I don't think no. So yeah, here we go.
Alrighty, bring you guys up to five momentum as you scan this and no, it is just 100% legitimate entries.
Okay. All right. I take the manifest and I head back up to see the captain.
And I'll put
Sure.
you guys on the bridge and you know what? We'll stick with the captain for a sec as you were doing that. Captain, as you get onto the bridge, I'm struggling to find your token at the moment, but as
It's
you
down by the hospital, by sick bay.
thank you.
And yes, she still has her dog.
Okay. As you get to the bridge, just as the doors flip open, you can see a couple people there. There is a blonde blonde-haired woman in the pilot seat. There is a uh, there's a security officer at one. I'm sorry, an engineer doing final checks on one of the consoles, and there's what appears to be a command officer sitting in the center chair. And as he looks back and sees the four pips of your collar, he instantly shoots up and announces "Captain on the bridge."
Oh, thank you, but there's no need for the pomp and circumstance, she says. And she'll.
Push to talk. Your mic cut out.
She'll sit down in the captain's seat and put Ari in the third seat.
Um, Looking at that third seat slightly a moment too long, the command officer nods and says, "Just to let you know, my name is I am Lieutenant Goodman. I hope to be of any assistance that you require. I'm the typically the or I'm assigned as the night shift watch."
Excellent. Well, she kind of looks down at the chair at the chronometer and say, "Well, it looks like you should be asleep then, Lieutenant."
Well, I just wanted to make sure that I was up and ready. It's, a launch of a ship is only something that happens once, and quite frankly, I think it's worth losing some sleep over.
Very well. You can be around for the launching of the ship. However, I do expect you to be in your quarters after that.
Yes, Captain.
She nods. Good. She looks around. Anyone else from Gamma Shift currently on the bridge? She says.
The engineer looks up and says, "I haven't been assigned a final shift yet, but probably not."
She nods and says, "Well, get with Lieutenant Commander Reynolds and uh, Commander Desesh, and they'll assign you a duty shift."
Thank you, Captain. I just got here a couple hours ago. I
She nods and says, "Well then, uh, you should probably go present yourself to Lieutenant Commander Reynolds." She says,
Right away, Captain. And he shuffles off.
"Excellent. Now, is everything ready for launch?" She says.
Yes, Captain. We are good to go on your order.
At this point, Commander Desesh walks out onto the bridge. Kind of comes to sit in the chair next to the captain, hands her the manifest, and says, "It seems if you want a desk, you're going to have to wait for some work to be done."
"Oh, that cheeky bastard. All right. Well, excellent." She says, "We'll just have to see that his order gets lost."
Captain, if I may, I sort of look to see if there's anyone else in the immediate thing. I want to talk, uh, you know, off the record with the captain.
You see Lieutenant Lieutenant Goodman on one of the side consoles, but he seems pretty enraptured on it.
Hmm.
However, the pilot is also at her console. She's kind of
Yeah,
drumming on the console with her fingers.
yeah. I'm just gonna kind of lower my voice so that I can speak candidly with the captain and just say, Captain, I just wanted to uh, say thank you. I've been approaching this. Well, there's a story about it, but I won't bore you with it yet. But I just wanted to say that I appreciate the faith that you've put in me. You don't know me, and I I just want to say that I'll do my best to earn that. I think I understand why I'm here now.
Good, because I thought you were here to keep me from attacking any more Nausicaans.
Well, hopefully I can do that too.
Um, and I'd say
She
that about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
she smirks, and barring no other needing of anything, she'll hit the comm for the whole ship
And
and say,
just as you, I'm just gonna say, just as you hit the comm, that's when Joe exits the turbo lift onto the bridge.
"Oh, well then I suppose Ari gets put into the captain's lap."
Yeah, she'll take the bridge is the 3 seat version, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, she'll take that the left seat, and all stations are ready, Captain.
excellent. She'll push the button and say, "Attention, crew of the Nightingale. We are about to be underway en route to Deep Space 17. Uh, it should take, and insert length. Uh, so take this time."
Approximately 6 days at maximum warp.
Okay, she'll say, the trip should take 6 days or so. Take this time to get to know your departments and your crew, and well, let's enjoy this adventure together, shall we? And she'll cut the comm and look at Astral and say, take us out and set a course for Deep Space 17.
Um, yes, yes, Captain. And though there's no change in momentum down in sickbay for Mr. Vanderveer to clutch against, he clutches it all the same as the ship slides gracefully away from the line of other ships and um, starts heading slowly out of the solar system, gathering speed as it goes. And as as Lieutenant Deers, I'm sorry, Ensign Deers starts piloting the ship faster and faster. It suddenly the stars start to streak as the ship goes to warp, and without even a single shudder or internal change of feeling, the ship's suddenly cruising at many times the speed of light and hurtling towards Deep Space 17. And uh, so Um, plot wise or time wise, we have like a 6 day journey ahead of us. Is there is there anything specific? Um, actually, yeah, no. Is there anything specific of what you guys want to do during that time? Because otherwise, it's mostly just a journey.
Mhm. Well, if we're sort of talking about like what the montage would look like of what we're up to over those 6 days, uh, Commander Desesh is basically using it to familiarize himself with his job as sort of head of personnel, and he'd be meeting with the various departments, making sure that he knows, like personally, practically everyone in the crew. He'd be basically doing all of his logistical work of making sure that the ship is going to work right.
That is I can definitely see that happening in over 6 days. Quite frankly, there's like 50 people here, or real people.
Yeah,
So you could easily manage to get all of that taken care of, and quite frankly, it's probably the easiest schedule you've ever had to make.
yeah, like that's like I have like a fourth of a crew here, so that's largely what he's going to be up to. There will also be a little bit of going over and trying to get his head around the Hollow crew, but that's like more of a long term thing.
And
Indeed,
for what it's
indeed.
worth, Jill would be more than more than able to help identify like the different strengths of the different people in different departments. Like, she spent time learning the crew just as the session is doing right now, and just
Hmm.
basically data dumping whatever he would need to know between the crew and answering any questions about the hollow crew.
Which kind of leads to an like kind of a collision course that's likely happening here, because almost I would have read your uh, like personnel file like as one of the first things that crossed my desk, which makes me think that that I'm probably gonna have some questions about your previous rank and the circumstances that surrounded that. So if we wanted to play that out as a scene,
Yeah, absolutely, we can.
like we
Absolutely.
don't necessarily have to do that today, but if we have a moment to do that, that seems like something that would happen.
I mean, you have 6 days. Go ahead. I
Hmm.
No,
mean,
for sure. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but let's just say I had my outline for today was about 4 paragraphs, and we're on sentence three. So
This is why I was
so
thinking that maybe it would be later.
no, now I think it honestly it kind of makes sense to do it now, just because it is kind of a get to know you thing, and
Hmm.
quite frankly, I can always make a different stop point if time starts to run too late. So I'd say
Hmm.
we should do it.
Hmm. How late are we playing tonight? Just out of curiosity.
Um, so that's largely up to you guys. Like I said, at this point, given this pace, I have about 6 hours worth of content. But I
Yeah, I
don't
don't.
think
I'm
we're
not going to be able
gonna.
to go past 11:30 in all likelihood.
Okay, that's perfectly fair.
Hmm.
I mean, at 11:30, you can just have us getting to DS-17, which is fine.
Or whatever. Yeah. Like yeah.
We can certainly do it that way, cause, and quite honestly, I don't. We don't really have to really get embroiled into the fleet arc until mid March. So
Hmm.
we definitely have time for these get to know you stuff, which is
Hmm.
the gold.
So yeah, short answer is we absolutely can do that scene right now. I figure maybe it's probably about maybe 15 minutes worth.
Yeah. Well, it would probably be like I wouldn't schedule a specific time. I'd wait for when it would be like a natural thing for you as a department head would be meeting with me, uh, and
Ah,
just
Well, the
I
two
reach out.
options in that case is either chasing her down, which would be in either the security office, engineering, or one of the science labs,
Hmm.
or right after the morning or catching after the morning briefing.
Yeah. we'll go with the latter. Desesh is just saying, like, Lieutenant Commander, I was wondering if I might be able to speak with you on some personnel matters.
Yeah, of course. And probably waiting for
And I would.
after everybody else leaves the conference room.
Well, he's taking you to his office.
Mm,
Mhm.
fair enough.
Yeah,
I
lead you to the EXO's office. One of the things that you would like, this is probably like 2 or 3 days in. One of the things that you would notice is that the only thing that has functionally changed about this room since he got here is that the pack that he was carrying with him when he arrived on the ship is now sitting on the desk. But otherwise, he has made no changes to the office. It is pretty much the way it was when he walked in, and he kind of has a seat there. Pulls a data pad from the desk and says, "Lieutenant Commander, I wanted to ask you about. Well, you have to understand. I'm probably a bit of a rookie when it comes to first officers in Starfleet. I mean, most of the time you show me a command Starfleet, and I'll show you a captain in waiting. But I have to admit, I was rather shocked to find that you had sat in the center chair once before.
Jill, well, as relaxing in the other chair, one leg over the other, just listening for the moment, and a couple seconds later, I used to be captain of the Excelsior until and the Admiralty didn't agree with one of the decisions I made during the war, and it led down a certain path. And you'll notice that there was the severe reprimand in her file, which now that you're looking at it, her file lists her as half Ryzen, half Betazoid.
Captain, I don't know, or sorry, Lieutenant Commander. I don't know if you know that much about uh, my background, but I come from the JAG Corps. I've worked an awful lot dealing with issues of insubordination and people who have run afoul of the of Starfleet protocol. I'm sympathetic, but I also want to make sure that I understand uh, how you find yourself here and what like I tried to find out the specifics about your uh, circumstance, and as far as I can tell, it's classified. I'm
Well,
wondering.
the Admiral doesn't like to let it be known how he got that black eye.
I don't have a problem with people who act in accordance with their conscience, but I do know that captaincy is a hard habit to break. How are you feeling about this circumstance that you find yourself in?
I spent months at home just spinning my thumbs until another admiral finally gave me a chance to serve on a ship again. I'm just glad to be working again.
I just want you to know that this is not something that I want to hang in the air in terms of your work here. As far as I'm concerned, you have a clean slate with me, and I don't and I just want to understand. I'm a questioner myself, but at the end of the day, I have to make sure that the people that are working for the captain are prepared to work for the captain.
I am well aware of my duties here. That was, in no uncertain terms, laid out explicitly. You have no problem with me, and your position is no less difficult than the captain's, just different tasks. You already have a big set of shoes to fill. I don't see to add any more. Fine.
Thank you,
My job's to make sure
Commander.
the ship is. She nods, and I'll make sure the ship is ready to go for whatever we need to do.
What? How are? I understand that you're also going to be working with me in organizing and detailing a hollow crew. Is Do you have a background in that?
Nothing specific, no, but I can still lend a hand and a few ideas from previous commands.
Uh, I I didn't think that this was something that was going to be coming into my actual practice, but I actually have a fairly strong background in holography. I don't know if you know much about the decommissioning of the EMH Mark One.
Only the reports. I've utilized the Mark One. The Mark Two was relatively new, even when I was in command earlier. As far as
When I,
programming, sure, that can be. You can take that entirely. I can help assist with roles and directions of
yeah.
where we need to, and focuses of what the different hollow crew may need.
During the during the relief efforts on Cardassia Prime, I was uh, stationed as part of the team that uh, retasked a lot of the EMH models for use in construction. I have a strong background in hollow personas and holography programming. I think that might be what landed me here.
She nods. So you would understand that even though they're holograms and they're constructs, they should still be treated as people.
I think I think we understand each other.
She'll smile at that. As I think we'll work well together. And if you have any questions about in your seat, I'm willing to offer some advice if you're willing to accept it.
I'd certainly love to learn a little bit more about the systems. How much of the ship is currently hollow emitter compliant? Uh,
100%. Even the Jeffries tubes, we can. One of the crew members can crawl through. The original Prometheus was originally designed to have a full suite of emitters built in. The upgrades only added to it.
you get that a kid in a candy store surge of enthusiasm in hearing that. But like he remains
How
impassive.
well? Um, is he actively trying to be impassive?
Like you get the impression that he's got a very good poker face, but he's completely incapable of hiding his emotions from an empath. So yeah, you don't really see you don't see much on his face, but he does he does come across as excited.
So, fun fact: Jill is not empathic or telepathic.
Oh,
Anything
okay.
she reads is from any facial expressions, which as a
All right.
Ryzen
Then,
she's very good at.
then good to know.
If anything shows, so everything you've been saying, I've just been letting it wash overboard unless it was
Okay, fair
anything being
enough.
expressed.
Well, good to know. But yeah, like but there is a general sense of enthusiasm when he talks about it. But he is trying to play his cards close to his chest.
Is this your first time as first officer of a ship?
Yes, I was third officer of my previous assignment. This is unexpected, to say the least. Uh,
She nods. Well, for a first position as a XO, this definitely is one of the less intensive ones versus where the other ships have been.
I
It's a
mean,
good experience. You'll learn a lot.
yeah, I think this is be memorable.
She nods.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander.
You're welcome. And if you don't mind, question for you.
Yes.
Well,
I think your mic cut out for a second there.
I'm sorry. It will happen. Earlier, when you arrived on the ship, you seemed very apprehensive of the posting. Do you still feel that now after having met the crew and seen the ship for yourself?
This is off the record.
She'll actually lift her hands up in a I don't care gesture. So you are my superior officer at the moment. That's your decision.
I want to be candid. I didn't come onto this ship expecting what I found. I have something of a reputation with some of the Admiralty. I I've been kind of a thorn in some political sides. I was kind of getting the impression from my initial assignment that this was an attempt to sideline me. I don't think I feel that way anymore. I think that something else is going on here, and I think I'd like to be able to move past my initial reluctance and get on board for what we're doing here.
She nods. Well, unlike yourself, I've given the admirals reason to, I wouldn't say punish me with this position, but they're trying to make a point assigning me to the ship with my duties. But as I said, I'm happy to be serving on the ship again. So from another captain's perspective, I don't see this as entirely being sidelined. It is entirely possible, but it may be giving you another opportunity for growth where I've
I
been
think so.
taken out of the field.
Well, Uh, just so, just so you know, my background is in the Judge Advocate General's office. I've dealt with a lot of people that have run afoul of the admiral. If any, if you need advice on dealing with the aftermath of that sort of thing. Like the captain said, my door is always open.
Let's see. Since you have cold read, it's not going to be that hard to see any of it. But
Mm-hmm.
for a moment, she'll actually run her hands together, and she'll trace that outline, that light the tan line on her finger. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, aftermath has already been done. I have to live with what's happened. I'll be glad to be as far away from the admirals as we will be.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Good.
anything more that can be done at the moment.
Nonetheless, if there's anything that Jag taught me, it's never take their first offer. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, when there is an offer to be given, absolutely.
Yep. We'll keep our eye out. Thank you, Lieutenant Commander. I think I've got to get back to work.
As do I. She'll stand up and give a nod. Commander, and she'll walk out.
He watches her.
Indeed.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
She was raised on rises, so it's probably hard not to look.
Yeah.
Um, Fair enough. And as this is going on,
Yeah, the captain will call the two civvies into an a med lab that isn't quite on the medical sections of the ship. So this might be the first time they've seen it, but she'll call them into it.
yes, and actually pay no attention to the title on this lab because that is not what this actually is.
uh, but yeah, Ari's probably got a bed in the corner. Ah, doctors. Welcome to my lab, she says with a smirk.
Thank you.
She nods. How are the two of you settling in?
It's going quite well. Better than expected. Just minor hiccups here and there, but like I said, everything's completely on track and we are good to go.
She nods. Rectigino? Either one of you? She says.
I'm sorry, what?
Klingon coffee.
Rectigino. Klingon coffee. Yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
Dr.
Yes,
Vanderveer?
double.
She nods. Man after my own heart. She says two double Rectiginos and a normal.
Now, Vanderveer also anywhere that he's been so far, he's maintained 3 points of contact with the ship. So right now, one of his hands is firmly glued onto this desk in the corner.
Yeah, she'll look at that as she's handing him the Rectigino and say, "Not a fan of spaceflight."
Uh, Only been once, actually.
Oh, well, uh, she looks and says, "You are aware that you don't have to maintain the Well, you don't need to hold yourself up to walk around the ship.
Yeah, but right now it's kind of a security blanket.
Right? No, I can understand that. So, I well, I called you two in here because, sadly, unlike the rest of my senior staff, we actually have things in common. She says. She just looks around and she says, "So, oh, hi, Ari dear." She'll pick up the puppy. He can never be away from me very long. Anyway, so, any projects or anything to look forward to?
Not currently for my department. We're looking forward to getting to where we're going and seeing what kind of chaos we can get our hands into.
She nods. Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of chaos around here to get into.
Kiana
Uh,
chucks and she takes a drink of her drink, and it doesn't get pulled all the way down. It kind of just, she holds the cup kind of by her chin and looks over at the other doctor and between you two, kind of just observing.
so, I actually had a rather interesting, set of circumstances that I'm still trying to solve. She said. She'll walk over to the one of the panels and light it up. Uh, she'll look. The scan will be from Commander Rost, although his name and stuff isn't on there for doctor patient confidentiality. She's using it as an example. She says, "Now, this was this was a patient of mine. As you can see, she says, around late 30s, give or take. That was his bioscan that morning." She says, "and this," she says, "was 3 hours later. And what is up is the scan of a 16-year-old man, boy. Uh, and she says, now, I've been trying to rack my brain as to what happened because, well, frankly, it sort of righted itself."
Interesting. This looks fun.
Well, it wasn't, she says. A couple of the crew turned into infants. It was. She shakes her head.
I don't do diapers.
uh,
This de aging process, was it regenerative or was it regressive?
from what I could tell, it was regressive. She says, all of the ailments from before still existed. If you had a defect, it still existed. She said, I feel even I was affected, she says, although I have lived a lot longer than most of the crew, so thankfully. but I can tell you for a fact that there was no enhancement or, regenerative capabilities about it.
Interesting.
Sounds like some form of induced Hutchinson Gilford syndrome.
Normally, I would have gone with that, she says, and then she hits the viral scan and the genetic scans that would indicate the syndrome, and she says, but if you notice between the two scans, the markers just aren't there. I thought it was a type of radiation we encountered, but if it was, it wasn't able to be picked up on our scanners.
I would like to come over some of the blood work analysis that you have.
She nods. Well, I obviously cannot give you this patient's. However, I can give you mine from the incident, she says.
That would
A-
be great.
And yeah, she'll give the thing. Uh, the two scans will notice that one scan was about 150 years younger than the second scan. Or,
Okay.
the first scan was 150 years older than the second scan.
Now,
Right.
from what you said, that the issue rectified itself.
She nods.
Can we get a quick current scan of your current genetics to compare to the previous scan and this patient's?
She nods and she'll stand and make herself available for the doctor to scan.
I would say you're aided pretty heftily by com- the just the situation and the room that you find yourself in. But let's go complication fishing, and why don't you give me a control science or control medicine or yeah, difficulty one.
And yeah.
And yeah, that brings you up to one floating momentum.
While I don't have her real age, think just the start of the Romulan War, like NX era. That was when she was born. So like the 2150s or something, 2160s.
But you are definitely able to scan at Captain, and you have the two other scans of herself that she gave you, and uh, Kiana, you managed to get the blood work, and the captain has successfully, I suppose, become the patient.
Well, she's if you've ever seen the show House with the three stories or whatever, I think was the name of the episode. Yeah, she basically just pulled one of those where it's like, this happened to me, I can't figure it out. Help.
I
So
would like to
she,
get this sample to the lab as soon as possible.
oh, please, by all means,
This is
as
quite intriguing.
of course, she says. I
Either are you
figure
any good with radiology?
she thinks for a moment and shakes her head. Unfortunately, no. I usually had a technician for that.
Aha. Aside from the analysis that we're looking for here, we should be cross referencing any sort of free radical damage to nuclear DNA. If it was radiation based, we should see some similarities there, don't you think?
She nods and then mentally kicks herself. She goes, and why didn't I think of that before?
If I could even do like a reason medicine roll to see how well that lands, I would like to do that.
Okay. Um, I think reason medicine is applicable. I think. Hmm. Uh, my gut feeling with this is to, since you're all brainstorming, is to get an assist and put the difficulty at like 3.
All of us?
Or either you or the captain, since you're both essentially taking part of the discussion.
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, this is trying to get the two civilians to work together. She also wants to know the answer, but seeing as she is literally the subject of you know, the study, she thinks it's probably best that she lets them figure it out for now. Because
And
she's given them the base research. She's leaving it up to them to see what they do with it.
I'm under the impression that this was a form of a litmus test for us anyway, and I would like a third dice for momentum cautious medicine.
Absolutely.
Oof.
This hopefully is not a litmus test.
Well, I can re-roll those zeros with the cautious medicine, which I'm gonna do.
That's fair.
Well, you can reroll one, yeah.
Oof. I thought I could re-roll any of that. I'm probably wrong, aren't I?
No, you can use your determination to reroll all of them.
I believe you can re-roll however many dice you buy with your cautious or gold.
No, it's just the one.
My mistake.
No, you get one reroll, but you can use your determination if you have one that applies.
That you
And I
can.
mean, and I mean, we're not doing anything super deadly, so there's no point in not using it.
Well, I do have don't hurt, can't hurt to take a look.
Fair enough.
I am good with that. And I'll. Well, you know what? You have a ton of momentum, anyways.
It wasn't squashed the.
Indeed. And then why don't does the cautious medicine stack after the determination?
Nope. You just get the
No.
one reroll, and then when you roll for the determination, you are stuck with what you got.
Fair enough.
I do also have veteran, which means when I use a determination, I get to.
Yeah, he gets to roll a challenge dice to see if he gets his determination back.
Yeah, there's like 3 minutes left. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and then the insight medicine from Hikari or Hakuri or reason medicine, whichever one.
Okay. Hang
Just
on.
one dice.
Okay. And I can use one of my focuses. The different, probably the, let's see, well, any one of them between infectious diseases. Would that be applicable for a focus?
It would be. It would certainly be for ruling it out, for ruling diseases out. So
Okay.
oh
I'll
yeah,
go with
and
that.
actually most of these would be applicable.
I cannot see what I just rolled.
You got a
you
Yeah,
rolled the
you
two.
critted.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
Okay then. Well,
I feel better about myself.
well, that's okay because as you guys kind of start pouring over it, as Captain Morgana kind of takes a step back and just watches the two of you start to grab the data pads and just kind of mutter to each other as the two of you are able to kind of put your heads together and actually get start grasping the answer of what this actually could have what could have contracted this, and more importantly, what could have caused it to stop. And while the answer doesn't magically spring forth from you, um, the two of you manage to grab a foothold into this and actually get to a point where the two of you, Kiana, you might be able to possibly replicate some of the effects with some of the equipment in your lab, and Dr. Vanderveer figuring out a way to actually kind of treat this should it crop up again could be something that's accomplishable over on your side of the ship. Um, so the two of you definitely get this first step into it, and whether or not whether or not there's an incentive there to follow it up, that's completely on the two of you. But if nothing else, if one thing is clear from this moment, the captain made a good call. That the two of you do seem to be doing a decent job together.
Woot.
Yes.
And with that, just because of time reasons, I'm gonna say that your work going deeper into this is interrupted as you all get a page that the ship will be reaching DS-17 in a couple minutes, and with everyone kind of going back to their respective places and getting ready to make dock, I think that is where we're gonna call it.
Woot.
Yeah, I definitely want to delve into what happened more with the captain and figure that out because it's very interesting.
Yeah. Little peek behind that.